Friends, you will probably notice that if you read this bill, it looks very familiar, and that's because it is. It was one of 3 bills we had here, actually technically 4 bills that we had last year that we passed. This one passed with pretty strong support, and most of you signed on as co-sponsors. But this one kind of just sat on the Senate side. It had to do with boycotting, maybe another term, ESG. But what we've done now that we've had a year with the rest of it implemented, this basically uses the same language you'll see in code in almost all of these sections. We've just added contracts, and the contracts has to do with public contracts, and the idea being that this legislation will prohibit public contracts with companies that would boycott Idaho products and do harm to Idaho's way of life. So some of that would include our fossil fuel, energy-based timber, minerals, hydropower, hydroelectric power, our nuclear power, agriculture, and the firearm industry. And you will notice on just handed out, we've got letters of support from the Farm Bureau and the NRA, and these were 2 of the companies that strongly pushed for this legislation. Note, though, the no boycotting clause only applies if you have companies with 10 or more employees and a value of at least $100,000. So the smaller companies and employees, if it's just a matter of buying pencils, we're not interested in going through all that. Also, you will also notice in the legislation that if there's a question as to whether or not you can actually do business, because such as with Bloomberg, the treasurer has to do business with Bloomberg. They do engage in some of this activity. Then there's no question, there's the exemption. Our treasurer would then absolutely have and must use that ability to work with them. Just as a side note, the effect of last year's legislation was a net effect positive for our treasurer, where she had more applications because of the work this good body did. So we decided this year to start it on the Senate side, since it kind of sat there in limbo last year, and they got around to passing it. Now it's back on our side, and with that, Mr. Speaker, I would encourage and ask for your green light.
For the motion, is further debate on the motion? Lady from 18.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to debate against the bill.
Lady has the floor to debate the motion.
Thank you. This bill, as a fervent advocate of the First Amendment and free speech, this bill causes me a lot of heartburn. While it doesn't technically ban boycotts, by the way, it's very well established that boycotts are a protected form of First Amendment speech. This bill does not technically ban them, but what it does is it takes the enormous, eclipsing economic power of the state. We are the 600-pound economic gorilla in the room in the state of Idaho. There is nothing else in the state of Idaho that comes close to our economic impact. Nobody else here can pack a $9 billion punch in terms of the amount of money that we spend and put into the economy. And this bill takes that power, takes that knockout punch, and uses it to shut down free speech. It basically says that, if you want to exercise this form of free speech, then you lose access to the biggest pot of economic activity in the state. I think this is a real misuse of our power and of our economic clout. And I think, frankly, I really question whether this would survive a constitutional challenge. While it doesn't technically ban this kind of speech, it comes awfully close to the line, and I think really misuses our power. And I have nothing against these industries. These are great industries. I have no intention of boycotting any of them myself. But I really think this is a major overstep. Plus, I think it's kind of arbitrary. It really cherry picks certain industries that we've decided we like and we want to shield from industry. But why just these? I don't understand. Why isn't it shielding semiconductors from ever being boycotted? Why isn't it shielding tech or Google or Amazon or Facebook or, you name it? There's outfitters and guides. It just says, well, this little handful of industries, we're going to make sure can't be boycotted, and the rest of you are on your own. So really question the arbitrariness, but as a bigger question, this is just a pool we should not be dipping our toe in. And I think you should all really question whether this is a Pandora's box you want to open. Because right now, you may have the power to pick the industries that you want to protect and make sure can't be criticized. But how would you feel if somebody brought a bill, let's say you weren't in control of picking those industries, and someone brought a bill saying the state is not going to do business with anybody who's Christian, or the state is not going to do any business with anybody who opposes abortion, or the state, mean, the list goes on. This power, if you put the shoe on the other foot, you really may not like how this plays out. This is a really dangerous road to go down. I think if we really deeply believe in the First Amendment and free speech, this is a bad bill. We should not get in the business of using our power to shut down protected free speech. So with that, I really hope that you will give this your red light.
Further debate on the motion. Gentleman 26.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the good lady from 33, I believe, yield to a question?
Good lady, 33 yields a question.
Absolutely.
Lady yields.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good lady, as I read on page 2, line 15, public entity, are we also referring to counties and cities as well?
Lady 33.
Mr. Speaker, good gentleman, we've taken this language directly from our current code. So make no mistake, it's already in code. Section 67-2346 B and C, having to do with banking and Israel and boycotting. So yes, that's currently in code, 100% already there.
Gentleman 26.
Mr. Speaker, good lady, I'm for a clarification.
Ladies yield to different question.
Absolutely.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Good lady, again, I'm wanting to clarify, or any political subdivision, that is including counties and cities.
Lady 33.
Mr. Speaker, good gentleman, as I stated, yes, I
Okay.
did state yes, and I did state it's taken directly from current statute. And again, I'll cite it, 67-2346 B and C, and 67-2739.7.
Gentleman 26.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, to debate the bill.
Gentleman has the floor to debate the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I echo a lot of the sentiments that the good lady from 18 mentioned. As I read this bill, I find it very anti-free speech, and I also find it incredibly anti-business. We are now saying that the state will not do business with you if we do not like the language that you are using. And as we all remember in Citizens United Supreme Court case, businesses are people in the eyes, corporations are people in the eyes of the government, and we are now drastically infringing on their free speech and their ability to conduct business. So I will be a no on this bill.
Further debate on the motion. Hearing none, would the lady from 33 care to close?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Friends, everything in here, with the exception of contracts, is currently in statute. We already put it in. I believe the good gentleman over there from 13 brought the Israel no boycotting. That's already here. We've added nothing that's not already in statute. So to claim that we might have a difficult problem, that there's some First Amendment free speech, the state of Idaho should get to dictate what we're going to do. And if you're doing business that hurts us or harms our good friends, such as Israel, we're saying you can't do that. That's all we're saying. That should be within our purview. The other, I don't know, I think they're misdirections that were brought up. It's all in statute. I could take you through every section on page 1. We've just added contracts. It is currently in statute. And almost all of you signed on as co-sponsors. There's no boogeyman here. It's as we implemented the other 3 parts of this last year, it's been nothing but a positive net gain. And let me remind you that some of our key industries, including the Farm Bureau and the NRA, are very much interested in this, because I can use the NRA as a perfect example. They were boycotted. They couldn't find a bank to do business with them. They're being told not to do business with them because they're part of the gun industry, and that's a big part of Idaho. Is that really the message we want to send? See, I believe that you can take that the other way. What we're doing is we're helping with the free speech. We're not shutting it down. We're saying you can't do that to our businesses and absolutely make it impossible for them to do business. We want them to do business and have a fair opportunity. With that, please vote green. Support our businesses.
Maloney.
Thank you, lady. Debate is closed. Question is, shall Senate Bill 1291 pass the House? Clerk will unlock the feet and members will cast their votes.
Let's see. Oh my gosh. Look at
Has
the
every member voted?
party line vote.
Does any member wish to change their vote? Clerk will lock machine, record the roll.
Oh,
59 aye, 11 nays, 0 absent, excused. Majority haven't voted in favor of Senate Bill 1291. Senate Bill 1291 is passed the House. Is there correction to title?
No correction to title.
Hearing none, title's approved. Bill will be transferred to Senate. The House will now have before it Senate Bill 1235. Good gentlemen. 12.
Now, did you see that? This is an NRA bill. There's 25,000 members of the NRA in Idaho, and they spend a lot of money to these Republican guys, the Republican Party.